Hello, everyone. I'm Mystery.
And I am Mortimer the Authenticator, and we are the Duality of Man. And bomb, 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 Iran, bomb, 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 Iran.
Yeah, so as I'm sure you've heard, across the internet, not from the mainstream media, because they spent a lot of time actively trying to avoid this topic, but uh, Iran is going through pretty much a revolution. There are protests all across the country. I believe, what is it, the Ayatollah? Is that what their leader called? It's fled to Russia, I believe, and a lot of the institutions are falling to the public who are doing this because they are one tired of the constant oppression and being killed, and also because they are tired of being forced to be Muslim. This is not something they chose. This is something that was forced upon them, and it's gotten to the point where they're even starting to set mosques across the country on fire and convert back to, I think it's called Zoroastrianism or something like that. It's basically,
Zoroastrianism.
yeah,
Zoroastrianism
Zoroastrianism.
is the precursor to
Yeah,
Islam that Muhammad was supposedly fixing. It's also, interestingly enough, where we get the word magic from, because priests in Zoroastrianism are referred to as magi.
oh, very interesting. So yeah, that religion is making a comeback because it's their native ancestral religion, and I've even seen people holding signs from the protest saying that we are not Muslim, we are Persian.
Based.
Yeah.
Based entirely. Ancient world for the win.
Yeah, so that's good for them. Although they are having a lot of problems, especially because the military is killing protesters. I don't know exactly how many have been killed because, given the situation, because they also shut down the internet in Iran, but they are getting support from Elon Musk, who's providing them with Starlink terminals. So get on that one,
Also
Elon.
based.
Yep. So protesters have been killed. I know it's in the thousands, but I don't know how many thousands. But it's bad, and Donald Trump, our president, promised that if they started killing protesters, he would intervene. He has already stated that he would um, institute a 25% tariff on any country that does business with Iran. But I definitely think some more direct action needs to be taken, possibly some, targeted surgical strikes. I know that nobody wants, active boots on the
Boots
ground
on the
there, but if he
ground.
yeah, but if he could take out like military bases and government buildings, like that would do a lot to cripple the
Yeah.
people trying to put down the protests, which would help a lot.
I didn't expect to use this meme quite this soon, but dear President Trump, please pull a Maduro again. Because if you can pull a few Maduros again, then this could be over in the space of about a month, as
Well,
opposed
they're
to the
Maduro.
20 fucking bastard years it took to get anything done in the Middle East prior to this point. Fucking hell.
Well, their Maduro is actually in Russia, so that kind of an extraction. It would be difficult in Iran. It'd be damn near impossible now that he's in Russia.
Well, I meant more so the speed and efficiency and like targeted precision of the thing, not the capturing of people part of the thing.
Well,
Because
yes, the
speaking as a millennial, I was not aware the government could be that efficient, but please continue to be that efficient because it was the lack of such efficiency that led us to being in soft wars for literally my entire life, and I am 30. So
well,
let's not do that again. Let's do more Maduroing, please.
it's easier to be sufficient when you're actually focused on getting things done and not padding the bank accounts of arms dealers and private military companies.
Yep, please no more of that. Please listen to Tulsi. I know Tulsi is in the administration, and she is the anti-war fucking. She is the avatar of anti-war American exceptionalism. So listen to Tulsi. Tulsi knows what she's doing. do with Tulsi as Tulsi would have you do, because seriously, I feel much better with Tulsi in the advisory war position than literally any other politician in fucking DC being in that position. Thank you.
Yes, I am anti-war. I am, however, pro ass kicking.
Yes, and top down externally imposed theocracy is precisely the ass what needs to be kicked. So based Persians. And by the way, I would not mind if at the end of this whole fiasco, Iran changes its name back to Persia, because that would also be based ancient world taking a W.
True. And it really is terrible what they've done. I've seen pictures of these Iranian girls who have, taken off the hijab they're forced to wear. They're really, really beautiful. That should be a fucking crime to cover that up.
Yeah, we're again speaking of based ancient world. There's some Helena Troyism going on here.
But let's get into the video to see what Nex has to share with us, because he did a previous video about this, I think, yesterday, and he did another one today. So there's obviously going to be some updates about the situation.
All right. Commence with the Blue Jew.
Absolute travesties going on in Iran. I covered yesterday that there were 12,000 deaths. The death count went up to 20,000. We still don't know if this is a low estimate, because the reality is they shut off the internet. Elon Musk has his people fighting with the jammers of the Ayatollah in Iran in order to get Starlink internet back up. There were massacres, people with machine guns walking into public squares and just mowing people down. It's an absolute nightmare there. Literally, more than a third of the deaths of the Gaza war happened in one day in Iran. And
I will never not take an excuse to say this. Fuck theocracies entirely. Fuck them all.
Like, you notice how you don't have like these insane, foaming at the mouth leftoid protesters calling this a genocide.
Which is fucking I know it's the okay, my theory as to why Muslims get special treatment from the social justice set is because they were the children of the 90s and 2000s, and so their first foray into having empathy for foreign people was probably Muslims during the War on Terror. So I think that's at least part of the reason why they get such special treatment. There's also the, intersectionalist thing of they're foreign, third world, and brown, therefore they are the good guys by definition. But if that were simply the case, you would think that foreign, third world, brown people throwing off the shackles of an authoritarian theocracy would meet with approval from the, vaunted, like, four horsemen of new atheism style secularists that usually are the social justice mongers.
I mean, there were other third world brown people being killed, but they didn't care about those because those were Christians.
I see. So, good old-fashioned oikophobia. We have too many Christians over here, therefore Christians can get the bullet and we will say nothing. It would just be an I sleep situation. Derp. But again, a lot of the Persians, which I am going to call them because it's based and they want to be called that, a lot of the Persians that are rioting in favor of what is essentially pagan henotheism. So you would think that, again, the coffee shop Wiccan types who frequently find themselves in social justice mongery would also be in favor of this on the basis of we're exchanging the Abrahamic religions for a pre-existing semi-polytheist, semi-henotheist one. You would think.
Yeah, but once these people join what is essentially the hive mind, they stopped having their own principles. In fact, they stopped having any principles.
Because principles are a construct of the oppressive Western patriarchy.
Yeah, and you could see that in the way that it is so inconsistent where they're applied, because you know, if they cared, about people being oppressed and people being killed and just people being starved and being treated inhumanely, they would absolutely be on the side of the Iranian protesters, no question.
Or
They're not.
again, if their four horsemen of new atheism thing kicked in and went, oh, they're trying to fight an authoritarian theocracy. That means they're the good guys by definition. Also, you know that thing where the social justice mongers always side with rebels against any institution? This is one of the few cases where that mentality actually makes some kind of sense. But no, fuck the rebels, because I literally have no idea what is the rationale there. Fuck.
Well, I could only assume that the rationale is that the people that they're rebelling against are one of the or what is one of the ideologies in their coalitions. So just like Maduro, who is communist, who is again also a member of the coalition of their ideologies, communism and Islam, they sided with the communists with Maduro, and now they're siding with the Islamists with Iran.
Also, also, they are consummate enemies of the West in general and America in particular. And one of the unspoken axioms of social justice is the oikophobia thing. So that might go some way to explain it.
Yeah, and like it's ridiculous. Some of their statements about the thing, saying that this is just it is American or is Israeli psyop, like a lot of the same arguments they use with Maduro, and they just can't seem to grasp the fact that just because we're involved with something doesn't mean it isn't also good for the peoples of that country.
You would think that if it were a Israeli or American psyop, the American portion of that psyop would be advocating for like secularity, and the Israeli portion of that psyop would be pushing for people to convert to Judaism. But neither of these things is happening. What's happening instead is based return to the ancient world henotheism. So like I don't like, even in the mindset where Western meddling or Israeli meddling would be a thing, like these things, what is currently happening is not akin to any of those things, because again, the Jews would want more Jews, and the American regime would probably want more westernized secularism. So
Yeah, but this was a movement that was already happening within Iran, and it's just us supporting it. And these people want to be free, and that's good for us because we get rid of an enemy and also curry favor with a potential ally in the region. So like it's win-win-win.
it's like the Maduro thing. These people are butthurt because authoritarian moralistic fearmongers are getting their shit kicked in, despite the fact that that is literally one of the most universal goods in the history of humanity. We are toppling a authoritarian theocracy that actively harms its people and stymies their actual freedom of expression. And this is a bad thing because, oh wait, Orange Man is involved, therefore it must be the wrong thing to do. Because
These
TDS be how TDS be, I suppose. Anyway, back to Nuxing.
The difference is the Gaza war was started by Hamas, and this was literally just people trying to get their country back from oppressors, and they're getting murdered. So today we're going to be talking about Hassan Piker largely, and the other idiots that are out here running defense for regime, because we are not going to let them be forgotten. All right. Yesterday, I did an entire deep dive on what's going on in Iran. Today, we are doing a deep dive on the idiots. There are public executions scheduled for today. I know they're scheduling public hangings. For the record, public hangings in Iran. They're scheduling them for protesters.
Well, I mean, I am not particularly surprised considering they still do the execute people for sorcery thing. Like, the Muslim world has really regressed to, like, the 9th century levels of civilization here. So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me they still do public hangings, considering they still do public executions for sorcery. And by the way, F you, Iran, and all the rest of the Muslim countries that still do that, fuck you entirely.
Yeah, this is also a reason why you should never get rid of guns. Like, the Iranian people can protest because they don't have any arms with which they can actually defend themselves against these evil madmen. So this is a perfect argument for the Second Amendment.
Mm-hmm. But we can't give the Second Amendment credit because that might mean that America was valid in any of its actions ever, and social justice forbid that.
Perhaps that's one of the things we should do to support. Maybe airdrop, a container full of weapons. Yeah.
So first I have to get you up to date with what's going on. Then we have to talk about Hassan Piker, who's shocking his dog. And he had an old account of his leak where he was a furry. There's honestly a bit of a wild video for today. But it's super important that every single...
Did I hear that last part correctly?
I believe you did. Hassan is a furry. A animal abusing furry, which is a neat little two-step, honestly. Considering that most furries that I know have an almost like slavish and fanatical devotion to animals and animal rights because they don't want cute things getting hurt, which for all the other faults of furries is based. But Hassan, no, he can apparently be a furry and an animal abuser. He is the worst of all possible worlds.
Is he some sort of weird furry BDSM enthusiast / combination?
This is yet another case where Hassan is the worst of all possible worlds. I honestly hope that after Hassan fucking crashes and burns by virtue of Nexus-based investigative journalism, he switches to Vosh's X% fucked, because Vosh is one of the few people on the planet I think is genuinely worse than Hassan Piker. Because Hassan Piker at least kind of knows that he's a midwit, but Vosh tries to, layer his shit in a bunch of quasi-academic theoretism and jargon, and that's worse.
I actually think Destiny is worse than Vosh, because Destiny, for some strange reason, people still take that monster seriously.
Well, yeah, no, he's on the list, but if I'm prioritizing, it should go Hassan, then Vosh, then Destiny.
Person that's running defense for the Islamic regime is remembered, and that's what this video is about, which is why I ask you to please subscribe and share it, because this video is not going to be monetized because I'm talking about massacres of 20,000 people. So you're not going to be ready for the leftists running defense for the Islamic terrorists. It's actually unbelievable how they keep doing this. So the Times says death toll in Iran might be in the thousands. It's updated to be around 20,000 right now. 15 minutes after Israel recognized Somaliland as a country, the United Nations held an emergency session denouncing both countries. All right. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with this lore, about 2 weeks ago, Somalia was massacring people in Somaliland. Okay. So Israel decided, you know what? Screw it. We're going to recognize Somaliland as a sovereign nation. Somaliland is a nation that has regular
and so
elections and democracy, and Somalia is an inbred shithole of people having sex with their cousins and producing the dumbest fucking people on the planet. So Israel decided.
So Somaliland trying to be an actual nation, Somalia just criminal state of idiots.
So there's essentially a Somali civil war happening.
Yeah.
On top of the aforementioned fraud thing, and the beautiful like burning in effigy of Tim Walz.
Yeah,
The Somalis just aren't having a good time of it, are they?
they were having the time of their fucking lives robbing us, but yeah, I just want to point out that the assholes in our country are from Somalia, and the people of Somalia are currently attacking the people of Somaliland. Apparently,
Mm-hmm.
the ones in our country are the fucking assholes.
Yeah. So yeah, I hope we send all the fraudsters home just so they can get fucked in a civil war. That sounds like karmic justice to me.
Yeah. If there's in 2028, if there's any Republican candidate that promises to boot Ilhan Omar out of the country if they're elected, I will vote for that person absolutely unapologetically.
I'm pretty sure Vance is probably going to do that anyway, so either way, we're safe.
Somaliland is a sovereign state, which is ultimately like a pretty little thing to do, I guess. And the UN gets together talking about how absolutely horrible it is. For weeks, the Iranian government is murdering thousands in the streets, and the UN is silent. The UN stands for useless. True. We have to abolish the UN. Israel's.
The UN is a worthless fucking organization.
Yep. Like, even the EU manages to somehow be better and more useful than the UN. We should get rid of the UN, because this whole like internationalist mutually assured destruction shit is what caused both world wars by proxy.
Not only that, but the problem with the UN is that they treat all countries as if they're equal, which is a mistake because some are clearly better than others and some are just fucking evil.
Yeah. The aforementioned authoritarian theocracies that exist in like half the Muslim world. Us vaunted secular pluralists over here should probably do something about the authoritarian theocracies that still treat people like it's fucking 1600 or some shit.
Yeah, and they want to treat us, America, as the bad guys who actually trying to get shit done and, deal with a lot of these assholes that the UN seems to think that we're supposed to treat as equal member states of the, pseudo world government. But it's a little bullshit. And I'm tired of apologizing and having to pretend that we're supposed to care what these assholes think when they're some of the worst people on the planet. Honestly, I'm thinking that we should just create a new organization just out of the countries that aren't run by morons or people actively trying to destroy themselves. So that's half of Europe out already, except Poland.
Yeah, sympathy for the tyrant is cruelty to literally everybody else, and the UN, unfortunately, a lot of the time has a lot of sympathy for tyrants, but weirdly considers Trump to be a tyrant, even though he's not in any way tyrannical because reasons.
Is definitely going to leave at this point. There's no way they're going to stay part of the UN after all this. And the reality is, America is also probably going to leave the UN because the UN just exists to cuck America. All right, it's literally just existing to cuck America right now. It is completely controlled by Islamists, as it's been super obvious that I said the whole time. I was called Islamophobic for saying it, but over 25% of the UN is Islamic countries, and the other 25% of the UN is European countries that are currently in mid-Islamic takeover. So the UN.
I just want to say, Islamophobia Islamophobia isn't an actual word because fear of Islam is not irrational. It is in fact fully rational, and if you're not afraid of it to any degree, then you are clearly not paying attention.
And no, it's not the same as the other two Abrahamic religions because the other two Abrahamic religions were not founded based on war. Whereas Muhammad explicitly wanted to be the theocratic warlord of the Muslim world when he discovered Islam. So yeah, no. Not saying that there aren't reasonable secularized Muslims, just like, there are non-fundamentalist Christians and non-fundamentalist views and shit. But frankly, the sane, rational Muslims, the pluralist Muslims, are the ones being fucked by the authoritarians. So we should probably do something about that because We need more. What's her name? The woman that converted to Christianity because she didn't like how authoritarian Islam was. A really famous one. Ayaan Hirsi Ali. That was the one I was thinking of. We need more Ayaan Hirsi Ali's, more Imam Tawhidis, and Majid Nawaz's. We do not need more Ayatollahs or more fucking various terrorists named Muhammad.
UN
I am fine with Islam once it goes through the like Protestant Reformation and secularization that Christianity did about 1,000 years ago, but not until then, because I don't really fancy getting stoned for being homosexual or getting beheaded for being a sorcerer if I ever go and visit the Muslim world. But that is likely to happen at this juncture.
We also don't need people like Sadiq Khan, who, where anytime a Muslim decides to, just say fuck it and commit a terrorist attack, he tries to just, play it down and pretend that it's not a result of that religion, which it obviously fucking is, because that's where they do this shit.
Or more insidiously than that, just straight up normalizes it. The occasional terrorist attack is just part and parcel of living in a major city in 2025 or 2026.
In every way, which is why they don't care that the Islamic regime is massacring people by the tens of thousands in the streets of Iran. All right? We pulled out of the UN. It's not fully official. We're only looking into it. So we are going to probably leave the UN. It's going to happen because the UN is just like, no, Trump, you're not allowed to arrest Venezuela. Right? The UN did the Venezuelan dictator Maduro. That's the last time the UN criticized us, when we stopped the dictator, communist. All right? Now, if you want more hilarity, Iran is actually on the Human Rights Council of the UN, which we're going to be looking at in a second. But so
the fact that that is a thing just undermines the entire concept of the UN.
You are creating people sick and then commanding them to be well, UN. To borrow a line from Christopher Hitchens, you are creating people sick and then commanding them to be well. Fuck you.
Yeah, and also, how could anybody take this organization seriously when people who commit war crimes on their own citizens are being tasked with, evaluating the way that other countries, treat their citizens? It's just look in the fucking mirror, asshole.
And I thought the party line for basically all of Western Europe and most of the UN was supposed to be Western secular pluralist liberal democracies. And you can't really get much further from that than an authoritarian Middle Eastern theocracy with an attitude akin to like the 5th or 6th century. That's literally like the exact opposite of the thing the UN was established to perpetuate.
Yes, but Dalton, their NPC chips got updated, and now they know that they're all supposed to hate the West and everything that it stands for and created.
And yet they will still rail at Trump because I'm a threat to democracy, derp.
So this is what Trump said yesterday.
Truck business went through the roof.
You said to Iran this morning that help is on the way for protesters. What did you mean by that? What kind of help?
You're going to have to figure that one out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, baby.
Nobody's been able to give me an accurate number. I have heard numbers from everything's a lot. One is a lot. But I've heard numbers much lower and I've heard numbers much higher. We'll be knowing. We're probably going to find out over the next 24 hours. I think it's a lot. It's too many, whatever. Truck business went through.
So anyway, they tried to hit him with their classic bullshit of like, what are you planning on doing, Mr. President?
I love he just laughs in their face. I do. That fills my soul with hope for the future, actually. Because you do not hate the media enough, Mr. President, but glad to see you're at least on the pulse there.
Yeah, why on earth would he tell you? Like, you assholes are just gonna spread the whole thing out, and it's gonna be harder for the military to do its job.
And you're going to spin it and make it a bad thing, even when it's a good thing as well. So there's that.
In the case of in the case of our current political situation with the you know outright disdain that half of the country has for the president and their willingness to do literally whatever it takes to disrupt anything he has planned, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Yep. And as
Can't get
Knox
in a
would
single
say,
day.
you do not hate the media enough.
Last time was Nagasaki, Hiroshima. Yeah, no, it's an absolute, it's an atrocity. It's an atrocity the likes of which we haven't seen in our lifetimes. Okay, unbelievable. 20,000 dead in a day. Like it's absolutely abominable that the world is just silent about it because they're just so radically pro-Islam. They don't want to piss off the mouth that feeds them. Like, oh, but Qatar said we shouldn't do anything. We'll get into that. So anyway. So this is a reporter talking to Trump about Iran. This is also yesterday.
Iran says that it will retaliate in the instance of U.S. strikes.
All right, Iran says they will retaliate if the U.S. strikes, and Trump's response is very Trumpish.
U.S. assets in the Middle East. What do you say to U.S. service members about why it's worth the risk to intervene in Iran?
Yeah, Iran said that the last time I blew him up with the nuclear.
I mean, it's a valid point.
Yes, and that's a good thing, and fuck you. Whatever you may think of Trump, he, God is that attitude of God said. Just no, fuck you, fuck your institutions. I'm doing this because it's the right thing to do, and you can fuck off.
Yeah, I mean that is a very valid point that he made as well. He already knocked Iran on its ass once, and that was before there was massive upheaval and turmoil within the country. Now, when their forces are focused on trying to, oppress the people and, regain control of the country, like if America struck now, doubt there'd be very much they could do about it.
Mm-hmm.
Capability that which they don't have any longer. So Iran said that the last time. They better behave.
Oh, yep, they threatened me last time. It didn't work. It didn't work out very well for them last time. Oh my God, Mr. President, stop tingling my balls like this. So anyway, he doesn't stop. He did 3 speeches yesterday, and every single one of them he threatened Iran. Now, I know Trump, all right, a little better than most because I'm retarded, just like Trump. And therefore, I could say with certainty, Trump is planning something big, but Trump wants it to be done in 40 minutes. He wants a 40-minute mission, in and out, take out as many of the bad guys as he possibly can in 1 second, not put a single soldier on the ground. That's what Trump wants to do. He does not like the prolonged ground conflicts. What he wants is similar to Venezuela, in and out, cripple the entire regime, and that
is
the
way
and I support that. Engage in the Maduroing. That is the kind of strike I wouldn't mind supporting. And I don't know to what degree Tulsi's advice is helping here, but it does also seem like the kind of strike that she would wind up supporting because it is the least interventionist and most efficient way of going about it, which is her whole shtick.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, capturing Maduro like that did a lot to show off the power and efficiency of the United States military than rolling in troops in tanks and vehicles and shit.
Again, the last time a U.S. president made the decision unilaterally to get us involved in nonsense foreign wars, it took 30 years for us to get anywhere. Trump does it in a day, and it's done in a day. That certainly helps with my morale as a embittered millennial who remembers 9/11, because I don't want to be over dramatic about it, but our lives have not been the same ever since 9/11 because George Bush lied us into multiple Middle Eastern wars that had nothing to do with us, and we were dealing with the repercussions of it for literally my entire lifetime.
That's what he wants. And my guess is he's being cautious and taking his time, and hopefully he does it soon.
And by the way, to all Iranian patriots, keep protesting.
Oh, shit.
Take over your institutions and save the name of the killers and the abusers that are abusing you. You're being very badly abused. If the numbers are right now, I hear 5 different sets of numbers. I hear numbers. Look, 1 death is too much.
Because they shut off the internet in Iran. They literally shut off the internet. So
he actually like, now I'm starting to get fucking aroused by it. He actually said to take over the institutions and fuck them. That's That made my day actually. Well, and fucking Dev is having a fucking aneurysm right now because he explicitly came for normative institutions derp. Oh, I love this so much.
I believe there actually is a crown prince of Iran who is from the previous regime that was ousted during the Islamic Revolution. But a lot of people are calling for him to come back, which would be interesting to see. I don't know if they're going to go like monarchy or democracy, but either way, either would be better than this monstrous regime that they're having to suffer through.
It's also an interesting parallel to the situation in Taiwan. So if this is the fuck all the authoritarians and get the proper government back in charge like tour that we're going on, like just in time for the 250th anniversary of the U.S., which was founded on precisely that mold. This is a hell of a 250th birthday present to America. We're just going to go and basically pull an American Revolution in all the authoritarian countries based. That's if that's how this ends up shaking out. I am. It's too good. I don't even know how to process that much good happening. If Taiwan is the next on the list to get morale improved, I don't know. I am earmarking it on my bingo card now so that if it happens in the future, I can say I saw it coming.
Well, obviously, all the sources are completely.
Yeah. So I just
jumbled.
But I hear much lower numbers, and then I hear much higher numbers. But I say save their names because they'll pay a very big price.
Oh shit!
And I've canceled all meetings with the Iranian officials until the senseless killing of protesters stops.
Yep. He's like, no more negotiating. Take their names. We are going to Nuremberg trial these Nazis. Because this is the closest we've had to a Nazi regime since the Nazis. I know that everyone likes, memeing around with different terminologies, but essentially this is a radical, autocratic, fascist regime dictated by a cancerous ideology that exists purely from a supremacy perspective to destroy all people that are not from their faith. And not only their faith in general, specifically Shia Islam. They would kill any Sunni Muslim that they possibly can, which they have done.
Yeah, no, it's worse. It's actually worse than Hitler because it's a theocracy. At least Hitler didn't throw fucking religious moralism into the mix, for the most part.
And like Nick said, it's specifically a particular sect of Islam. Like Islam has a lot of warring sects, which are fighting each other based upon interpretations of the Quran and theological history. But anyway, to get to the point, I really do that Trump does give support to the Iranians because it's very heartening to see these people standing up for what's right and trying to take back their country from people who were essentially enslaving them, holding them hostage within their own land.
And again, I would normalize calling them Persians because Iran is what they called it when the Islamic theocracy took over, and they want to be called Persians again. So I am respecting the ancient world historical W and just referring to the protesters as Persians because they are, and God, it's nice to see them come back.
Already multiple times. But that is literally what we're looking at.
All I say to them is help is on its way. You saw that I put tariffs on anybody doing business with Iran. Just went into effect today. And I say make Iran great again. It was a great country until these monsters came in and took it over.
Great country until the monsters came. Many such cases.
Respectfully, Mr. President, make Iran Persia again is my motto from this point forward.
Yeah, it being Persia again would really shake up the whole region a lot, and also give us another, potential ally in the region besides Israel. I mean, we do work with the Saudis a lot, but uh, that's more of a convenient business alliance more than anything, really.
Yeah. Speaking of authoritarian regimes that could really do with a 1776ing.
I think the difference between the with the Saudis is that is that the is that they're treating their people a lot better than the way Iran was.
Yeah, and the theocracy seems to be relatively homegrown in Saudi Arabia. Not saying that there are those of you who, wouldn't mind joining Iran over in the rebirth of the Persian Empire, but it does seem a lot more organic. Granted, I don't know very much about the history of Saudi Arabia, but it's definitely externally imposed on what was Iran and shall, God willing, soon be Persia again. So yeah, we should start with all of the parts of the Muslim world that are the Muslim world under duress only, and not the homegrown ones. Because as much as I enjoy fundamentalist Islam getting its shit kicked in, if the people of a given nation choose willingly to be said Muslim theocracy, then I don't think it's right to gainsay their choice. But definitely they don't get to impose that on people who are not so inclined.
Front with his messaging. We're gonna fuck these guys. Emmanuel Macron, in between getting slapped by his husband, he decided to post one of the greatest French person tweets of all time. This is translated from Persian. He posted it in Persian. I condemn the state violence that blindly targets Iranian women and men who courageously demanding respect for their rights. Respect for the fundamental freedoms is a global demand, and we stand alongside the women and men who defend it. Gay ass motherfucker decides to hit you with the virtue signal tweet of the generation. What is this?
I mean,
It's French. That's what it is. I mean, is anyone really surprised? Stereotypes exist for a reason and mostly are based on some kernel of truth. And so I am not surprised to see a Frenchman, particularly a French politician, because that, does make it infinitely worse, with the empty virtue signaling. So no, it's French. I'm not surprised. It's a French politician being a French politician, surprising no one.
I mean, you also have to consider that McCurdy is one of those politicians that will say things like this and then go on to do wildly unpopular things that none of these people asked for, all for the sake of being a good European instead of a good leader for the French people.
And the last time y'all did that, Monsieur Macron, it got very guillotine for those like you. So do be careful with the dynamite you are playing with, Monsieur Macron. You might end up saying "Mon Dieu" at the end of it, as your head is cleaved from your shoulders there.
Literally, what am I even looking at right now? All right, that was my pussy accent. I don't know if you were aware. That was not actually my French accent. I have a really good French accent. That was my pussy accent. Don't want you to get those mixed up. So the reality is, this is the worst tweet ever. And they all do this. All the libtards are like this. We stand with you. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to get involved. We're not going to help you. But we're going to stand with you. We'll eat a baguette in your honor, Iranians. This is the most,
in theory,
the gayest virtue signal.
Yeah. No, it is insufferable managerial like quasi aristocrat speak. We're going to, not to be mean, but it is very much the like globalist institutionalist equivalent of thoughts and prayers. Like, do something for the love of in this case Ahura Mazda, because again they're trying to reconvert to Zoroastrianism. For the love of Ahura Mazda, do something. Put your money and resources and effort where your mouth is, please. Or if you're not going to do that, then shut the fuck up and let us get on with the actual revolutioning, is probably what the Persians are saying to one another at this point.
Yeah, but a lot of us in the West have to deal with these, asshole protesters who demand we take a side, particularly their side, otherwise not a valid side, on any world issues. Where like people feel they have to say something even in a situation where they're not involved at all.
Yeah, but in reality, when the rubber meets the road, actual protesters with an actual cause to fight need you to do something. Put your money and effort and resources where your mouth is, or shut the fuck up, please, and let us get on with the actual work. I feel comfortable speaking for the Persians in this regard, because I am sure some variation of that is what they are thinking.
Shit of all time. Look, 5 million views, 25,000 likes. Like, this dude was ready to start sanctioning Israel when they were fighting with Palestine, okay? And then he hits you with actual pussy language. It's incredible. Unbelievable. So the one Democrat that's actually being like, yo, what the fuck? Where are my leftists? I don't understand. Where are my lefties? These guys were...
And of course, it's Senator John Fetterman from our state of Pennsylvania.
The guy who recently suffered a stroke and brain damage is still one of the better Democrats in the current zeitgeist. I just reminding everyone of that little factoid. The man had several strokes and was barely compass mentis when he got elected, and he's still probably among the better Democrats. Womp.
I swear to God, look, when this man had a stroke, as the brain healed, it rewired itself to be more based.
That honestly seems like the most likely of options. That stroke was an act of God's fixing him so that he could be an appropriate mouthpiece.
Guys were protesting and yelling and screaming about, I don't know, Palestine, the guys that started a war and lost for years. The reality is the reason why they were actually protesting for Palestine was not because they ever cared about the Palestinians. It was because the Islamic retards that were funding all of the colleges like Qatar, who funds our American colleges $6.5 billion a year, was literally getting them to think that this is an important cause so they can use the Palestine cause as a Trojan horse to destroy Western civilization. But he was like, why are all the lefties doing this? But the lefties are quiet now. Great question, sir. Sorry for the voice crack. I'm sick.
The president saying he's now considering taking military action inside Iran. Do you want the U.S. to get involved like that?
Sure, absolutely.
No.
And now it continues to make more sense. Absolutely. I think I was the only Democrat that...
You mean we should assist these people that are getting massacred by the tens of thousands, also simultaneously crippling a regime that is funding terrorism, that is killing Americans and other allies of ours around the world for years?
I remember when Fetterman won against Mehmet Oz, I was rather depressed at the time because I wanted Mehmet Oz to be victorious. But I'm not saying Mehmet Oz wouldn't potentially be better than this, but I am saying that if we have to live in a world where a multi-stroke victim who was not compass mentis at the time he was being elected got elected, we could have done a lot worse. We could have done a lot worse, folks.
Yeah,
still bullshit, and I hope he gets replaced with someone even more based. But given we're playing the cards we're dealt, this could have been a lot worse than it ended up being. Silver lining.
Don't wish her that, Dalton. I can feel the monkey's paw curling.
Oh dear, knocking on wood.
Supported our strike of their Iranian nuclear facilities last year. And now, by then, without those kinds of strikes, Iran could have acquired a nuclear bomb. I hope we can all agree that Iran should have never acquired a nuclear bomb. And Iran is one of the world's top terrorist underwriter.
He's like, what do you mean?
Have that
of course we should bomb the shit out of them.
Spiral. So why wouldn't we want to support that? And those...
Literally the only smart Democrat is the one that had a...
Yeah, so destroying our enemies and freeing a race of people that have been oppressed for, I think, about 50 years now?
Yeah.
Almost 50 years since the Islamic Revolution in Iran. So it makes perfect sense. And because it makes perfect sense, he's the only Democrat that supports it.
Which is a shame. To be fair, Tulsi was also a base Democrat once upon a time, but they fucked her so hard that she switched sides. So It's not that there are no base Democrats, it's that quite a few of the base Democrats have been drummed out of the party because the Democrats are so ideologically captured at this point. But being that as it may, on the whole nuke thing, you really, really, really do not want any Muslim theocracy getting their hands on a nuclear weapon, because extremist fundamentalist versions of Islam are apocalypticists, meaning they actually think the end of the world would be a good thing, especially if it ends up mass killing their enemies. So yeah, no, unironically, you do not want Muslim theocrats getting a nuke under any circumstances, because they are one of the few regimes that are most likely to use it and call it a good thing. So yeah, no, I don't really fancy any part of the Muslim world getting a nuke until after their equivalent of the Protestant Reformation and the Enlightenment, please.
Had a brain tumor. Like, you cannot even like make this up.
Those brave protesters, they've killed probably more than 600 by now.
Yeah, this was from 2 days ago.
So now, why would we want to have the kinds of targeted kinds of action that could break that regime?
He's just like, literally, are you retarded, lady? Why are you asking this question? Of course we should do it.
We have a comment from Dragon Turtle 2703. He has a few comments, but I was not paying attention. I was paying attention to the videos. Sorry about that, Dragon Turtle, but it says Iran likes to give all sorts of weapons to terrorists. That is true. Iran is a massive supporter of terrorists in both the Middle East and internationally. So, stopping this regime and overturning it would, be a big blow to terrorist networks throughout the Middle East and now throughout the West in Europe, because the Europeans run a lot of these people in like a bunch of dumbasses.
Mm-hmm. We also have a couple comments from Final Fantasy Fan 15. My favorite is probably the something stupid is going on when Hassan Piker is involved, which is correct, but then again, Hassan is kind of an inverse weather vane. Whichever way he's pointing, you can almost 100% of the time be sure reality and sense and probably also morality are pointing in the opposite direction.
Speaking of terrorism, have you seen what the UAE said about England?
No, what did they say?
They don't want their students to study in England because they're afraid they'll become Muslim extremists.
The United Arab Emirates is looking at England and going, we may be Muslims, but we're not that kind of Muslim. Fuck off, England. Yeah, that's the world in which we currently find ourselves.
Yeah, they literally said, you are too dangerous for our citizens.
Our citizens that live under the, thumb of an iron-fisted Muslim regime.
The very fact that they're saying, but England's worse, it's just...
Well, the fact that they're saying England is worse and correct about it, I think, is also the issue. Because if they were just saying this out of the blue, it would just be, the third world is being third world again. But the argument can legitimately be made, and made unironically. So it's not just that they're saying it, it's that they're saying it and are not wrong in saying it.
Dragon Turtle 2703 says, gotta go, but I'm leaving you off with this. Someone was called racist by the UK police for a dog barking at a dark-skinned person, and someone was fined for littering because a leaf blew into his mouth and he spit it back out. I actually did hear about that. That is absolutely insane.
I mean, I would have thought that the UK would have stopped at dog-related hate crime when the Dankula thing happened. I apologize for being optimistic. I should have known better at this point.
The leaf thing is the most egregious because that is just absolutely insane. No reasonable country on earth would fine somebody for a leaf flying into their mouth and then spitting it out. That is insane.
Also, leaves shouldn't qualify as litter. They're biodegradable, and usually they blow literally wherever the wind takes them.
They should find the trees for littering all over the ground every fall.
And the tree. Wait, no, that's a bad idea. Those are English trees. They might spawn Fae.
Maybe Treebeard will come and fight the English government and finally put an end to this madness.
I mean, at this point, a war of the fair folk against the English government would make all the sense. I want to live in that hypothetical urban fantasy alternate universe, like the 21st century equivalent of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, basically.
Of all the crime that you have in England, between the knife crime and the raid gangs and threats of terrorist attacks, you waste your time on a man spitting out a leaf. What was he supposed to do? Eat the leaf?
I think they would say yes. I think they were expecting him to chew the leaf and swallow.
I loved England growing up, but I cannot take these people seriously anymore.
Yeah, no. As an Anglophile, I genuinely do not think I could visit England and be unmolested, either in the sexual sense or in the terrorist attack sense. Which, one, scares me. Two, as an Anglophile, it really fucks with my head to see England laid so low. It's kind of like the situation as a Francophile a couple years ago when they were doing all those fuel related protests, and it's just like, I really wish I could go. Like, if I won the lottery, that 90% of what I would do with that money is travel, but my travel destinations are getting increasingly narrow because like the whole Middle East is out, large swaths of Europe is out. I guess I can travel in the US, which, I mean, there are plenty of places in the US I would like to visit, but like, as somebody who very much would like to see the world and like the Seven Wonders and so on, like, the world is not cooperating with my dreams here.
Yeah.
Do it. But Trump, what do you mean? What do you mean? So yeah, obviously this does not look very good for the retards. Now, speaking of the retards, before we talk about Hassan Piker and his uncle and all these other fucking frauds, I have to show you something insane. All right? I have to show you something crazy. So these are Iranians. As an Iranian, I am carving these days into my memory to the Jewish community and the Republicans who stand with us, we see you. But to the actors, the left, the communists, the Democrats, the human rights hypocrites who chose silence or worse, covered for the Islamic regime while they slaughtered 12,000 plus of my people. You helped this regime survive. As long as I have breath in my lungs, I will rub this filth in your faces. Your hypocrisy is written in our blood. I actually had
Based Persian. Based Persian.
chills reading that. By the way, for the record, I actually had chills reading that. Literally, unironically, actual chills. Like, these poor guys, they expected the activists to be on their side. The activists, the guys that are literally shitting on West.
See, that was his problem. He assumed they had principles. That's a rookie mistake.
At this point, it's somewhat of a mistake to even assume they have good intentions. Like, I know I'm the king of Hamlet's razor, but never attribute to malice what can adequately be explained by incompetence. At this point, at this point, I think we can chalk it up to equal portions of both incompetence and malice, because why not both makes a lot more sense at this point.
Yeah, they're absolutely malicious, but they are also morons.
Yes. The good news is there are no masterminds. The bad news is there are no masterminds. So nothing sensible will happen, and it will increasingly get more absurd and more clown world. And all we can do is sit here and honk.
Western nations for literally everything. For everything. And they can't understand why the activists aren't there on their side. I do, obviously, because the activists' actual goal is not any of the things that they care about. All right, they don't care about the environment. They don't care about the climate. They don't care about any of that shit. They hate straight up. They hate Western civilization. They hate the biblical values that founded our civilization. They hate patriarchal society. They hate, a society that's based on actual values. And that is straight up why they fight against every single thing. Your hypocrisy is written in our blood. It's actually unreal how much of a mask-off moment this was. And so this is another Iranian. After screaming this for years, I can't believe it's taken 12,000 Iranians murdered by the IRGC to the world's deafening silence for people to finally see that the human rights movement and its social justice warriors are a gigantic, spectacular farce. I feel so fucking sick. It's honestly heartbreaking for these guys. Like, they expect that at least the retards on the college campuses will be on our side. Oh my God.
I mean, we've been red pilled on this since what, like 2013.
Yeah.
And it's the neo-Hegelian fucking dialectical dichotomy bullshit that's the root of all this. Because no matter what happens, they will have some like warped mental gymnastics heavy justification for it on the basis of thesis and antithesis dichotomy. That's why I don't stop at decrying Marxism, because I understand that Marxism is just economic neo-Hegelianism. And if you want to deal with this problem, you need to tackle Hegel and you need to tackle Rousseau, because pretty much everything that's gone wrong in the entire 20th century, ideologically and politically speaking, are the ideological bastard children of Hegel and Rousseau.
Yeah. And the reason why these people cannot, be on the side of the Persians or the Venezuelans is because the reality that the Persians and the Venezuelans face, suffering under their dictators, goes against these left-wing radical delusions. And you see, that's very important, because in their minds, they're right. It doesn't matter what about, it doesn't matter evidence, it doesn't matter what people who are actually experiencing it say. They know that they're correct, and anything that goes against them or what they believe is obviously wrong, and it doesn't require any examination because they know they're right. And so
because if reality is validating the opposite of our morality, then reality is immoral, and we should destroy reality so that it can be reforged into a moral reality.
Yeah.
According to these people. If reality proves us wrong, then reality is immoral, and fuck it.
Holy shit. Actually scary. Hey, UN, what time could we expect you to remove Iran from your Human Rights Committee? Obviously they won't. Duh. Obviously they won't, because they're literally an Islamic organization that's involved in the conquering of Western nations. It's so obvious. So this is a message to Trump from a young conscript soldier of the Iranian army, not the IRGC. This is like from the rebellion. All right, giving a message to Trump. Now I'm going to show you this clip, and the reason why I'm doing this is simple. It's because later in this video, when I show you what all the retards on the left in America are saying, like Hassan, like Cenk, his uncle, like Candace Owens, another leftist, like what all these guys are saying, they're all saying that the people in Iran don't actually want Trump's help. That is that's their new phrase. Their new thing is they actually hate Trump more than the mullahs that are massacring their people.
جناب رئیس جمهور آمریکا، آقای ترامپ،
Mr. President,
ما ارتشی‌ها و تمام مردم ایران منتظریم که ما رو نجات بدید.
we the military, I'm just saying this in case someone's just listening to this, not watching this, my video. We the military and all Iranian people are waiting for you to save us.
این رژیم ظالم رها کنید تا بتونیم ایران رو از نو بسازیم و همونطور
And free us from this oppressive regime so we could rebuild Iran new.
به آمریکا میگی ما هم می‌خواهیم که
As you say about America, we also want to say
to make Iran great again.
Make Iran great again.
Based.
So, yeah, I hope that Trump does give actual material support and action to Iran, because these people have suffered far too long.
And literally no one will suffer except authoritarian theocrats. and a day when authoritarian theocrats are getting fucked by libertarian rebels who want to return to their actual traditions, that's a good day in my book. Any day when authoritarian theocrats are getting fucked by libertarian rebels who want to return to their actual cultural traditions, that is a good day in my book.
It again. And then he kissed a picture of Donald Trump. Anyway, so it's very obvious that people are doing this. It's crazy. It's crazy and it's tragic that this is happening. The footage this is open source intel. This is like a war account that constantly posts pictures of conflicts around the world. The footage leaking out of Iran right now is too much for me to post. I want to puke. So I saw some of the footage. Obviously, I can't show it in a YouTube video, but it really is horrible. Like it's getting spread through Telegram accounts because like the actual footage is getting taken down on pieces of social media. You just see people getting blasted in the streets. You literally see people with machine guns walking into crowds and just firing at chest height and just people falling down. It's absolutely unbelievable that it's happening in real life. So I'm going to show you a very Islamophobic picture right now. So under communism, there were 62 million deaths. Under socialism, Nazi socialism, there were 21 million deaths. Under communism, there were 49 million deaths. And under Islamism, there were over 300 million deaths. Now, this is obviously Islamophobic, which is why we're not going to be including it in the video. But anywho, this is another Iranian man who finally was able to escape Iran. He crossed the border into Turkey. That way he has internet because Iran had no internet because the government there shut it down. And he released this video.
الان رسیدم ترکیه بازا بده اصلا همه رو دارم همه رو دارم بچه ها رو هم بردارم فقط کمک همه شاهزادن خارش رو در که غیرت شاهزاده سمبل آزیه اصلا کاری به اسم شاهزاده بمانه ناجیه.
Anyway, and he's crying, he's begging for someone to help them. Like, I don't think people realize how mismatched this is. Like, you have a bunch of protesters completely unarmed in the streets, and then you have actual terrorist military coming in and mowing people down.
Yeah, I would absolutely support striking military bases and giving these people guns.
Yeah, man-made horrors beyond my comprehension, and we're still in fucking January, folks. 2026 is gonna be a bumper year.
It'd be a great year if this madness could finally end.
Well, yeah, that's why I say we need to Maduro this bitch.
Unbelievable. So this is another example of people begging for foreign help. All right, I'm just showing you people begging for foreign help because now I have to show you the retards that are showing you that they're not actually begging for foreign help. So here's the first Hassan clip of the day. Because, yes, I am going to expose that he had a previous account where he was a giant furry. And I am going to show you the new account of him shocking his dog yesterday. Because we need to talk about how evil this shitbag is. All right, so this is Hassan Piker talking about...
A furry without empathy for animals. The worst of all possible worlds.
The reality of the matter is, in the absence of...
Now, folks, please understand, when he says reality, he means his own twisted... deceit-filled illusion.
Yeah, his framework through which he filters everything. Now, to some degree, that's somewhat inevitable for everybody, but there is a difference between adjusting your framework when reality proves you wrong and doubling down on your framework, because even if reality is proving you wrong, that makes reality immoral, and therefore it is a moral good to oppose said reality.
Like, if this government falls, it's fucking Syria. That's the reason why.
The Iranian people are not Muslims by nature. They're not Muslims. They're not even Arabs. They literally just they want a democracy. That's what they're begging for. They're begging for a democracy. It's not Syria. It's not anything like Syria. Syria was an Islamic Arab nation that, yeah, sure, it had different terrorist groups conquering it left and right. But Iran was not that. Iran was under oppression for 47 years. So immediately, I think personally, he knows better. He's just lying to his audience.
He's a moron. He doesn't know better. That like when Hassan is concerned, he's just a midwit. He's an evil midwit who also is a malicious twat, but he is stupid enough that he genuinely believes the shit he's saying. Because he doesn't understand when he contradicts himself. He's mentally incapable of perceiving those contradictions.
Here's the thing, though. Even if this does end up badly, which he doesn't know, nobody knows how this is going to end up. Even if it ends up badly, it's still their choice. The Iranian people want this nightmare to be over, and if what comes out the other side of that, even if it's bad, this is still the path that they are choosing of their own volition.
And again, a day when authoritarian theocrats get their shit kicked in is a good day. Almost invariably.
He's doing everything in his power to support the Islamic terrorist regime that's massacring people. I just want to make this very clear.
People who take somewhat of a campus stance here are making that statement. Okay, that's it. America is obviously still far worse than the Iranian government, even in terms.
I can't with this man anymore.
I shouldn't be surprised, but it's still a facepalm moment. Dear fucking God, Hassan, you will scream fascist anytime Trump says or does anything. But when people are literally being shot in the street, when children who literally are not old enough to have done anything wrong are being shot in the street, you will not only sleep, you will blame America for the authoritarian theocracy that is shooting people in the streets, half a world away and culturally entirely opposed to America.
We need to get rid of him, and we need to get rid of Ilhan Omar. There is no benefit whatsoever to having these bastards in our country.
Yep, no, and Ilhan Omar's, if possible, an even bigger idiot than Hassan most of the time, so there's also that.
America is worse than the Iranian government. He's referring to the Islamic dictatorship. He's not referring to the actual elected Iranian government. Absolute insanity that we have this guy in our country. All right? Absolute insanity that this dude has a place in our country, that has a voice in our politics, that's glazed by our left-wing media outlets. It is unbelievable that this guy is not either in jail or deported. He thinks that the American government is worse than the Islamic terrorist regime that's massacring tens of thousands of people. Oh my God. It's unbelievable. Like
They're massacring tens of thousands of people a day. Just hyper fixating on that detail.
People on the right Nazis. This dude's the Nazi. He's the actual Nazi here. All right. He's the guy that supports every single terrorist organization you could think of, from Mexican cartels to Venezuelan cartels. He supports the communist China. All right. He'll support every radical terrorist Islamic organization.
At least in terms of theory, he's worse than a Nazi. Not saying in terms of actions, but in terms of theory, he's worse than a Nazi, because Nazism, by definition, is national socialism, i.e., socialism that has borders. And even an expansionist power that has borders is preferable to a system of essentially global socialism, which is what Hassan frequently advocates for. And in this case, it's even worse than that, because it's global socialism tinged with fundamentalist theocratic Islam. Derp.
Unbelievable.
Like the dire economic situation that Iranians are facing is also a direct consequence of American intervention.
Oh, so that explains why the Iranians spent $500 million on Hezbollah and $100 million on Hamas and another $100 million on the Houthis. That's America's fault.
So every Iranian that is in a state of disarray due to the real dropping in value to zero.
He really thinks that this whole revolution is happening because of the currency. Now, don't get me wrong. The currency absolutely had an impact here. It's kicked off the whole thing because they didn't have water. I don't think you realize how bad it was.
Much like the Venezuelans before them.
Literally, they could not afford water in Iran. And he's like, yeah, American imperialism's fault. Now, let me give you an example. Israel directly states.
It's worth noting that quite a lot of the modern state of the Middle East is at least tangentially related to our desire for fucking regime change wars and oil meddling. But this is not one of them. This is a homegrown rebellion 50 years in the making, where the Persians want the Iranians gone. And they are based for that.
Yeah.
So,
This isn't us starting a war. This is us supporting people who are trying to change their own government.
yeah. And again, it is hilarious to me that between this and the Venezuela thing, this is one hell of a series of presents for America's 250th birthday. Because basically, what happened in Venezuela when Trump captured Maduro, and what will, God's willing, be happening in what is now Iran, will soon be Persia again, any day now. Is basically us giving the rest of the world the power to 1776, and that is based.
Not only that, but it's weakening our two biggest enemies on the global stage, China and Russia. We weaken them by capturing Maduro, and we can weaken them by helping the people overturn the Islamic government of Iran. Like,
We
it's a
are we are
win for
making
us.
the world a better place and benefiting thereby. This is literally a win-win scenario for us. We have both the moral and strategic high ground for probably the first time since I started paying attention to politics, and yet these people are pearl clutching and going America bad as per usual.
Stated, if we make peace, we will irrigate your entire land with our superior irrigation technology that we have invented. All right? I'm not even exaggerating. All right? They literally said, we will irrigate your entire country. And they're like, no, fuck you. We're going to kill you, actually.
Or due to not having any sort of fucking, like, due to people not having any sort of commerce in the country. That's all America.
What do you mean no commerce? They fund Russia. They fund China.
It's all American intervention. So they're still worse than even the fucking most repressive, most authoritarian version.
So employing sanctions and tariffs is worse than getting people down in the street, according to this absolute idiot.
Okay, Hassan. Like, I don't like black and white thinking, but this is a black and white case. This is a case where reality itself is black and white. You are looking at a situation where everyone suffers all the time, and a situation where literally no one but the people making other people suffer will suffer, and you are actively in favor of the system in which everyone suffers all the time forever. Like, this is the moment where if you had a functional neuron in your head, you would be having the Mitchell and Webb thing of, are we the baddies? To which the answer would be a resounding fucking yes, son. You are looking at a situation where, if all goes to plan, everyone will be better off by it. The people in Persia will be better off by it. The US will be better off by it. Europe will be better off by it. The only people that will suffer will be the Thurocrats in what is now Iran, the Chinese government, which is authoritarian and shit, and the Russian government, which is authoritarian and shit, and trapped in the 1980s technology-wise. Only the bad people will suffer if Trump's plan goes ahead without a hitch, Hassan, and you are still not in favor of it.
Well, the thing is, all the bad people he actually likes, except Russia, which I'm pretty sure he's only saying because he knows he's supposed to say that. But this man simps for China like nobody's business, and he's a massive terrorist supporter.
And let's be real. If Putin was dethroned and the Soviet Union was revived, communism and all, he would suddenly be pro-Russia because fellow comrade communist.
Yeah. So there's honestly four good reasons to do this, as you mentioned. Helping the Iranian people, making things safer for us, weakening China and Russia, and also pissing off Hassan Piker. I feel that is a perfectly valid reason to do this.
Yeah, no, that's a valid reason at this point. Again, he's the opposite of a weather vane. His vane points in the opposite of wherever the wind happens to be blowing. So you can tell if you're doing good things, at least partially, by how pissed off Hassan Piker is at you.
Version of the Ayatollahs.
Yeah, America's worse than the Ayatollahs, he says. Unbelievable, bro. Like, and you
Yes,
don't
it's
think this dude directly wants to overthrow our government? You don't think that this guy actually just wants to overthrow American democracy? Like, he really is a plant. He really is a foreign agent. And there's no other way to say it. He hates our country so much. It's unbelievable.
Always either the Jews or America's fault.
Either the Jews or America.
I can't tell if you're being sincere when you say this or if you're saying this sarcastically.
What is happening?
But yes, in the case of
Yes.
it is not the Jews, okay?
Not the Jews, it's the Zionists. I'm politically correct here.
But yes, Israel has played a fucking major role. What are you talking about?
Yes, and I'm pretty sure the people of Iran are very thankful for this. They were killing
Tens of thousands of people a day, Hassan. Tens of thousands of people a day.
I swear, it's just whenever this man sees Jews, he just loses all sense of reason.
Well, that implies that any of his other takes are reasonable, and I have yet to find a reasonable take for Hassan Piker.
All right, we can pretty much wrap this up. We've been going for an hour and 20 minutes. Also, I'm sick of hearing Hassan Piker's voice. I swear to, I physically cringe whenever I hear this man speak.
Well, because he is the most, like, effeminate hipster douchebag possible, and he's also the son of a fucking sultan or some shit. So it's like all the worst aspects of Islam without any of the, like, masculinity behind it, and all the worst aspects of social justice without any, like, actual, like, social empathy, which, for all of their faults, at least some of the rank and file social justice warriors do what they do out of a twisted sense of, like, altruism and empathy gone wrong, whereas Hassan has not, he doesn't even have that virtue of his particular vice. He has all of the vices of his vices and none of the virtues.
All right, so we're wrapping things up. Do you have any final thoughts about the Iran situation?
Reject Iran, embrace Persia, and kick those authoritarian theocrats the fuck out of your country, and if possible, also the mortal coil while we're at it. Please.
I pray that the Iranian people will have success in reclaiming their country, and I also hope that our president will provide them with the physical, material support that they so desperately need.
And God's willing, it will be as efficient and instantaneous as Maduro was.
I've been Mr. E.
I've been Dalton Mortimer, the Authenticator. Fuck Iran, all hail Persia, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers, guys.
Goodbye, everybody.